It was a Tuesday night, the kind of boring, uneventful Tuesday that makes you question your life choices. I was walking home from my late shift at the library, the quiet streets lit only by the occasional flickering streetlight. The air was a bit chilly, and I was just focused on getting home to my leftover pizza and a night of binge-watching some terrible reality TV. That's when I felt it. A presence, you know, that prickly feeling on the back of your neck like someone's watching you. Yeah, that. I glanced over my shoulder. Nothing. Just an empty street and the rustling leaves blowing across the pavement. I picked up my pace. My apartment was only a few blocks away, but suddenly it felt like miles. Every shadow seemed to stretch and twist into something monstrous. I told myself I was just tired, my imagination running wild after shelving too many horror novels. But the feeling wouldn't go away. It was getting stronger, closer. I fumbled for my keys as I reached my apartment building, my heart hammering against my ribs. I practically threw myself inside, slamming the door shut and locking it 3 times. Leaning against the door, I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing pulse. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing, just the empty, dimly lit hallway. See, I was being ridiculous. Just a long day. I kicked off my shoes, dropped my bag, and headed straight for the kitchen. Leftover pizza. Here I come. As I was waiting for the microwave to do its magic, I heard a soft knock at my door. A very soft, polite knock. My blood ran cold. It was almost midnight. Who would be knocking at my door at this hour? I tiptoed back to the door, my earlier fear flooding back with a vengeance. I looked through the peephole again. Standing there was a man. He was tall, dressed in a surprisingly well-tailored dark suit that looked way too fancy for my shabby apartment building. He had pale skin, dark hair that was just a little too perfect, and the most intense eyes I'd ever seen. He just stood there, hands clasped behind his back, looking patiently at my door. He didn't look like a threat, he looked lost. And incredibly handsome in a classic, old-world sort of way. Against my better judgment, I opened the door a crack, keeping the chain on. "Can I help you?" I asked, my voice a little shakier than I would have liked. He offered a small, charming smile. "My sincerest apologies for the late hour. I seem to have lost my way." "My name is Julian." His voice was smooth with a faint and placeable accent. It was strangely mesmerizing. I was wondering if I might trouble you for a moment. Perhaps a glass of water. My brain was screaming no. Stranger danger, midnight weirdo. But my mouth said, sure, hang on. I unlatched the chain and opened the door wider. What was I doing? He stepped inside, his movements graceful and silent. He looked around my messy living room, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. But he was polite enough not to comment on the mountain of unfolded laundry on my couch. "Thank you," he said, his gaze settling back on me. "You are very kind." I went to the kitchen and got him a glass of water, my hands trembling slightly. When I came back, he was standing by my bookshelf, looking at the titles. "You have an interesting collection," he remarked, tracing the spine of a history book. "A lot of nonfiction. I work at a library," I explained, handing him the glass. He took it, his fingers brushing against mine. His skin was cold, like really cold. Not just it's a bit chilly outside cold, but ice cold. An alarm bell went off in my head, but his smile was so disarming. He took a small sip of water. "I must confess," he said, setting the glass down. "I didn't just happen upon your door by chance. I followed you." Okay, alarm bells were now sirens. You followed me." "Yes," he said, his expression turning serious. "Please, do not be alarmed. I mean you no harm, quite the opposite. You see, I was drawn to you. There's an aura about you, a brightness. It's been a very long time since I've encountered anything like it." I just stared at him, completely baffled. Aura, brightness. What are you talking about? Are you from some kind of cult? He chuckled, a low, pleasant sound. No, nothing so pedestrian. It's difficult to explain. He paused, studying my face as if trying to decide whether to continue. Let's just say I am old, very old. And in my long existence, I've learned to recognize certain qualities in people. This was getting weirder by the second. Okay, Jillian, it's been a long day. I appreciate the compliments on my aura, but I really need to get some sleep. Of course, he said, nodding. But before I go, may I ask a favor? You're already in my apartment after following me home. I think we're past the point of favors. A small one, he insisted, his eyes pleading. May I stay here just for the night until the sun rises? I have nowhere else to go, and the city can be inhospitable for someone like me after dark. My jaw dropped. You want to sleep here on my couch? I don't even know you. I promise you, I will be no trouble at all. I will be gone before you wake, he said, his voice laced with a strange sort of desperation. Every rational part of my brain was screaming at me to kick him out. But looking at him, he seemed so vulnerable. It was a bizarre thought, given how composed he was, but there was a deep sadness in his eyes that pulled at me. Maybe he was just some eccentric rich guy who had a fight with his family. Maybe he was harmless. So I did the stupidest, most irrational thing I have ever done in my life. I said yes. Fine, I sighed, the couch. But if you touch anything, or if I wake up and my TV is missing, I'm calling the cops. A look of immense relief washed over his face. Thank you, he said, his voice filled with genuine gratitude. You will not regret this. I grabbed a blanket and a pillow from my closet and tossed them onto the couch. There you go, bathrooms down the hall. Don't make a mess. I retreated to my bedroom, locking the door behind me. I didn't sleep a wink. I just lay there, listening for any sound from the living room. But there was nothing. Complete silence. It was almost more unnerving than if he had been making noise. The next morning, when the sun streamed through my window, I cautiously opened my bedroom door. The living room was empty. The blanket and pillow were neatly folded on the couch. The glass of water was gone from the coffee table. It was as if he had never been there. I almost convinced myself I'd dreamed the whole thing. A very vivid, very weird dream, but then I saw it. On the coffee table, next to where the glass had been, was a single, perfect, deep red rose. And tucked under it was a small, folded piece of paper. My heart started pounding again. I picked it up and unfolded it. The handwriting was elegant, old-fashioned script. It said, "Thank you for your kindness. The world is less dark with people like you in it. I hope we meet again, Julian." And that's how it started. That was the night a vampire followed me home. And a small, crazy part of me actually hoped we would meet again. My life had been so predictable, so boring. And suddenly, it felt like a door had opened to a world I never knew existed. A world that was dangerous, and mysterious, and strangely exciting. I had a feeling my Tuesday nights were about to get a lot more interesting. Thanks for watching my story. It's a little crazy, I know. If you want to hear what happened next, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. You won't want to miss the next chapter. See you soon.